Okay.
Okay.
So hopefully we're streaming here. It says we are.
There's one person watching us.
It's not showing the actual video though.
Nobody's watching me.
There we go. Okay, so we are live. There's the chat.
Almost.
Okay, we're live.
Okay.
Okay, so for a long time I've wanted to do a video on what we plan or how we plan our meals for our camping trips. It's something that a lot of people have a lot of opinion on, so we thought we'd do a live stream because this way we can interact. I have the chat open behind us so that people could say, hey, that's a great idea, never thought of that, or have you ever thought of this one, so maybe we could learn from you guys as well. So that's why we thought we'd do this live. So our limitations, one is we have I have a video up of our coolers and what we use. One is an electric cooler which runs on 12 volts or 120 volts. Generally we run it on 12 volts when we're camping. We have a deep cycle battery that we can plug in the refrigerator to and then charge it off a 7-pin connector on our fifth wheel connection in the back of the truck while we're driving around. That cooler is only 63 quarts though, so we have to limit or take into consideration the bulk of the food and the items we put in there. The other one we typically use is a Yeti cooler that's 65 quarts. It's great for protection from animals because it's squirrel proof and relatively bear proof. So things like nuts and berries and breads and whatnot that don't need to be refrigerated per se are kept safe from the animals and makes it harder for them to get into them. So in this discussion we're going to try and figure out what we can do to make 5 to 7 days fit in those two different items, the electric cooler and the Yeti, and still have an abundance of food that's healthy, tastes good, not dry, and not full of preservatives. So here we go. We thought we'd try this, and please feel free to chime in with your thoughts and comments. I'm going to be monitoring the chat over here, and we will interact with you as we go along.
Sounds good. I don't know if we're going to be able to fit 7 full days on this board. Normally we do this on a piece of paper, but we'll try to get as much information out here as we can to get the idea across.
So go ahead and start writing out your thing.
So what I often do is I'll start by creating some columns for each day that we're going to plan for. So in this case, I think what we're going to do is we're just going to settle on 5 days because I think I can fit 5 days up here. This is the day we're leaving. And so on this day, you might call it day 0, I don't usually plan full meals. I plan for some road snacks, and we plan for having something that we take with us that's prepared already to eat for dinner on that first leaving day. So I'll just use this as a column to label the meals. We're going to plan breakfast. We're going to plan plenty of snacks between meals. We're going to plan for lunch. And we're going to plan for dinner. And then, you know, if we think of anything we want to have for drinks or something like that along the way, we'll throw that down in here at the bottom, just to keep our notes organized so we can remember what we need to shop for at the end of the planning.
Yeah, one thing I'm most guilty of the day I'm leaving is stopping and getting a couple of burritos on the way. Mm-hmm. So that wouldn't work really well right now in this current condition because most restaurants are closed. But yeah, I would generally stop somewhere and grab 2 burritos and eat one along the way, and then have a warm one on the stove once we were unpacked, and just call that the day's meals. Mm-hmm. By me, I am the type that I'll have a really large breakfast, a few small snacks, a medium lunch, and then a really big dinner. So we're going to try to see what we can do to incorporate some of them, like breakfast potatoes work good, or potatoes work good because you can have them for breakfast, and like mashed potatoes for dinner. So that's one that also doesn't even need to be refrigerated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a bag of potatoes is always a good choice in your camping cooking list. So we'll just say we're going to leave on Thursday, so we'll do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, just as a theoretical example. We ended up with 6 days on the board. So we're going to try to make this nice and visible. Apologies if it's a little hard to see. You might have to zoom
that comes up fine.
Yeah? All right, very good. So let's think about breakfast across the whole week. So if we want to do potatoes on morning one, but we don't want to have the same thing every day, we might make potatoes on every other day. Something like that. Dylan always likes French toast.
French toast is great. I mean, to be honest, I'd have breakfast potatoes every morning. It's fine with me. My only problem is the preparation. I don't mind cooking, but I'm not the type to have to spend a whole lot of time prepping. If I more than 20 minutes, half an hour for a meal, and I'm kind of losing interest. So there is that. When I typically here at home would have breakfast, I'll go buy the pre-made breakfast potatoes, and yeah, I'll fry some of those up, let those get started, throw some bacon in the oven, and then either make French toast or scrambled eggs to go with that and kind of break things up. But that's generally my variety is waffles or French toast, maybe pancakes occasionally. But to me, I don't like pancakes because there's a lot of just flour and sugar, and I'm hungry in an hour again.
Mm. Yes, and what we try to do is think of potatoes that are not diced and prepared. Each one of these potato preparations is going to be a lot of time, which is one of the reasons I thought maybe not every day, but this is the back and forth that we go through. So it's just part of the process. If French toast sounds like it's a little bit too ambitious for the backwoods, then just stay tuned and check in with us on the day that we make it, because you'll find that there are ways to simplify that and make it a lot easier than you would imagine. Now, Dylan is a breakfast aficionado and loves to make waffles. Not my bag. So he's Waffle King. And on this particular trip for the first time, or on our next trip, for the first time, we're considering bringing the waffle maker with us. So that could actually theoretically be one of the meals that we put in here for breakfast. Do you want to put waffles in on breakfast?
Oh, absolutely. Let's put waffles for at least a couple of breakfasts.
Okay.
Generally speaking, I am the type to go glamping. I'll bring a lot of amenities from home.
Mm-hmm.
A generator is not an issue. We have a 2200 watt that's very portable, but then we also have a 3000 watt that's somewhat portable. So if I want to run a waffle maker and her coffee pot at the same time, not a problem. We can make that happen.
But that would be a limitation for a lot of people who are going out there with
absolutely
with different equipment.
Absolutely.
So another thing that we always enjoy, even more than usual when we're camping, is a lot of bacon. So I think it's safe to say we will have bacon for most of these mornings. Dylan doesn't care for sausage, but sausage is also a nice option for those who enjoy that. So we're just going to do like bacon all the way across the board.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll take that.
Mm-hmm. I'll take that.
Plus, any leftover bacon can be used on your sandwiches for lunch. So, how can you go wrong with bacon? Bacon and butter make everything better.
And a lot of times we'll just do simple scrambled eggs, but I also have a real affection for omelets. So there's probably going to be at least one morning when I make omelets. I like those. Some diced ham, some veggies, kind of, changes things up a little bit. What other things do we want to have for breakfast?
Well, if you're making waffles, I'd love to have some frozen berries, but their problem with that is keeping them cold. So that might be a stretch on this one. I might just have to tolerate. What I've done also, though, is use yogurt with bananas, a little bit of cinnamon, and some agave syrup to put on top of waffles, and then eat them kind of like an open-faced sandwich. And that's, I find, really tasty and very easy. So in this case, I would rather substitute the frozen berries for something like that, where it's, like I said, yogurt, bananas, cinnamon, and some agave syrup.
Okay, so we'll put the yogurt and bananas in here on these waffle days. And maybe we'll do, so we have potatoes, bacon, and scrambled eggs,
delicious.
Waffles, yogurt, and bananas. What do we want? Oh, and it's just bacon all the way across, plus bacon. Potatoes, omelets, and bacon, waffles, yogurt, bananas, and bacon, potatoes. Do you want to do something different on all those days, or you just want to do another scrambled eggs?
I'm almost bland and boring. It's kind of nice to be able to do as much as
we could do breakfast burritos.
As much as I don't. Well, breakfast burritos. There you go. So we could do bacon, potatoes, and
bacon, potatoes,
maybe get some sort of
some cheese.
Yeah.
Maybe fry up some, diced chilies or something to add a little something to it.
Sounds great. We have jalapenos, canned jalapenos.
Oh yeah, we'll bring those. Okay.
Bring those.
Okay, that sounds good. Burritos. Okay, so tortillas. We have some tortillas.
Take a minute to say hi to Jess and Johnson. Hi everybody. Thanks for watching.
Hi Jess. Hi Johnson. Good to see you guys.
So those all sound like great breakfasts, and to me, like if I wanted to have potatoes, if we bought 5 pounds of potatoes, I could still make potatoes every day if I wanted to. Especially if I'm up early and want to do my own thing, and then just have it ready for when you wake up, because I tend to wake up earlier. That would be fine. So.
Yeah, baby. If you do all the potato chopping and slicing and dicing, I'll do all the potato cooking.
Okay, fine.
Together we can make it happen.
Yeah, go team.
Rob.
Okay.
Fried onions. That's always good with everything. Makes everything better.
Yeah, so we should probably add onion across the board, because I like having onion in my potatoes. I wouldn't mind having it in the breakfast burritos, and well, maybe not with the waffles, but whatever. Onions don't go bad. They're another one that's really good to have because the bear isn't going to eat it, and it doesn't have to be refrigerated. So onions are good.
So then we're sort of on to lunch for the whole week. What do we want to have for lunch? Lunches. Typically, we do a lot of sandwiches.
My to go and my daily allowance, I have to have one peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It's just mandatory. One peanut butter and jelly every single day. So that's got to go on there, because I'll also have one as a snack between dinner and lunch, whatever that would be called. It's not whatever dinner lunch is. Brunch is breakfast lunch.
Dinner?
Sure, dinner.
I'm putting peanut butter and jelly across the snack area because there's going to be a lot of those. What else?
So deli meat's easy. And again, cheese. So
deli meat,
maybe get some
cheese,
some shredded cheese and some sliced cheese, which we can make the kind of. I think after we hit lunches and snacks here, we should kind of jot this down and start fresh with the second half of the day. Maybe, because I don't know if we're going to fit all meals on here by the time we're done.
Yeah, I kind of agree. We're going to get through lunch and some snacks, and we're going to need more space for dinner. So yeah, we'll do it.
So if we're on to snacks, then I would love to have some apples, because that's great with peanut butter too.
Apples.
Sometimes I can substitute an apple and or a banana as in place for the peanut butter and jelly, because at least I'm getting my peanut butter fix.
I like oranges. That's my favorite fresh fruit snack. So we'll get some oranges.
The other advantage to jam is that it's more tolerant to not having being cold all the time, like say milk, but also it could be substituted for the waffles instead of the yogurt and banana, or a little bit could be added to the waffles and then put your yogurt banana mix on there, depending on what you feel for the day. So and also jam, a small jar goes a long way, so you can put that in the bottom, and that would go pretty much the whole 5 to 6 days.
We should probably do, with this many days, mix it up a little bit and maybe get some hot dogs that we could use for different meals. We could
hot dogs are great once the fire's going towards the end of the day. It's like that quick snack when you're doing something but you're feeling kind of lazy and want to sit down for a minute. It's like cooking a marshmallow. You go find a stick and shove the hot dog on there and rotate it over the fire. Doesn't get much easier than that.
Quick, hot, salty goodness.
So are we going to put condiments on here? Does that mean that we want to put down a note for
relish?
Relish and mustard and ketchup?
Yeah, let's add those.
And again, towards the end, we might have to scale this down because we're limited on space. So other thing is digging around through the bottom of a cooler. Sometimes things open and spill. Having an electric cooler, though, is very nice because we don't have to worry about melting ice, and the melting ice, like sometimes like the butter will settle to the bottom of the cooler. Next thing you know, it's floating in your water, and that is nothing worse than opening up your cooler and finding something that's not well wrapped. Like if you don't put it in a Ziploc or a jar, find it floating in the bottom of the cooler in the cooler water. I understand the cooler water is still fairly clean, but it still puts that weird mojo on the butter that makes me go, ugh.
Yeah, we, to each their own. Everyone handles these things differently, but when we see cooler water in our deli meat package or in our butter, we won't eat that anymore. So
yeah, it's almost like at that point, what can we catch with the game camera by putting a little bit of cooler water lunch meat in front of the game camera?
Bait.
What kind of? No, it's not baiting.
It's not bait. It's
not baiting. It's just It's composting, and what comes in to get it. Maybe we'll get some cool footage of something coming in. But again, because we use the electric cooler, that's not an issue for us. And the electric cooler was only an additional $100 over the Yeti, and the Yeti still requires ice. So, and the electric cooler is got a metal box versus a really thick plastic box. I would much rather spend the extra $100 for the electric cooler, or you could get one smaller and get it for the same price as the Yeti. But again, then you don't have to worry about running back to town when you go to get ice. Because I have been on a trip once where we went for 9 days. We had to plan it out so the people that came throughout the trip, each person had to bring some ice to rejuvenate each cooler. With the electric cooler, we don't have to worry about that.
What other snacks? We need hot sauce.
So Jess says clarified butter is great and comes in a plastic container.
Yeah,
so that's a good point.
That's a great idea. Also, you can get clarified butter in a jar too with a screw top lid.
Well, the jars are even better in my opinion, as long as you don't drop it. But yeah, that's a great idea. I had never thought of that one. To me, cooking is not my specialty. It's more of like finding the firewood and setting up camp. Those are my things. So that's a great idea, and that's part of why we're live streaming, is so that we can hopefully get some input from others. So please keep them coming.
And when it comes to shopping, there are some different standards we hold for camping foods when we're shopping. For example, I wouldn't hesitate to buy milk or cream or half and half in any kind of container when we're going to put it in our fridge. But when I'm buying it for the cooler or for the camping empowered cooler, I always buy the type that have the screw off, screw on lids, because they just seal everything tight and they prevent other substances.
Cross contamination.
Right. So that's one of those things I shop a little bit differently when I'm buying for camping specifically. We got hot sauce. What other condiments? Oh, we should put greens in here, so we have greens for our sandwiches and to just put some fiber in our diet.
Because cooler water is not such an issue, do you want to just mix greens?
Yeah, let's get mixed greens, and we'll get it in one of those box containers, because that way they won't get squished by other things.
And that can be added to the sandwiches and then added at dinner for a salad and whatnot.
Or stuffed in a burrito.
So if we're getting greens, I'd love to have some croutons, because those are extremely tolerant to many conditions.
Yeah.
And add a little bit of crunch. I'm a carb whore, I'm sorry.
He would like to have a bowl of croutons with a little greens as
a few greens with my croutons?
The garnish. Yeah. This guy, bread for every meal.
Okay, so do we want to start fresh?
Well,
You want to use your camera to take a picture of this?
Let's think a little bit more about road snacks and stuff. Like we have some snacks here. Some beef jerky.
Cliff
bars. We like to have a snack bar with a decent amount of protein that's not too processed. Cliff bars meet the bill. They're edible. They're pretty good. Beef jerky for salty protein snack.
Salty protein snack, also some chips. Those are easy.
Some chips. And always some trail mix. Something that's nut heavy. That's not too...
Trail mix is a great idea.
Not too heavy on the candy. The candy is fine, but also it's a little bit more of a risk, because if you have chocolate in there and it gets hot in the car or something, or truck, then you have a melted mess. So we prefer to stay a little bit lighter on the chocolate.
If we keep it in the Yeti in camp, it's going to maintain a relatively mellow temperature.
That's true.
And then we could find some sort of container that we could put some in for our trips as we go out.
That's true.
So that if it does melt, it's not all of it.
Yeah, but I think you know the difference between the stuff that we get, the stuff that's kind of in the middle. It's not completely nuts and dried fruit, but it's not all chocolate out. Like some of those mixes have so much chocolate in there that melts so easy.
It's like solid M&Ms.
Yeah, or big malted milk balls and little chocolate drops, all kinds of chocolate. We avoid those kind of trail mixes because that's just candy in a bag anyway.
Dried fruit, also a quick. Let's see here. It's great also for a quick sugar.
Yes. Yeah.
Dried fruit is great. Dried fruit is great. Definitely add that to the list.
We usually have some dried apricots.
Can we get a mix?
Yeah, we can get the dried fruit mix. As long as I usually end up at the end of one of those bags being the only one who eats the prunes. So as long
I don't mind the prunes. I don't mind the apples. They're not my favorite, but I don't mind.
All right.
Because I like some variety, and if you end up buying each individual one, you end up buying it's like this mass.
Yeah.
And then even then, they get proportionally changing.
It's true, yeah. I like to get the big bags. It's very affordable that way, the big bags of the mixed
What
ones.
if hypothetically we had a morning where we're in a rush, like if we decided we wanted to go fishing or something? I'm wondering about for breakfast if it wouldn't be bad to add oatmeal and kind of dress that up with some dried blueberries. Because that could be done real fast and be on the road.
Okay, alright.
So maybe add that to the breakfast area.
Oatmeal.
And oatmeal doesn't take up much room. It can go in the Yeti.
It's cheap, it's light, non-perishable.
Except for add some dried berries of some kind.
Well, dried fruit mix, but also dried berries. Yeah.
I don't want to add prunes or yeah. I don't want to add prunes to my oatmeal. Sorry.
You're right. What else do we like as snacks?
That's a pretty good gambit of snacks, considering we've also got the peanut butter and jelly, the apples, bananas. I could have a salad.
Yeah.
But with salad, we need some sort of dressing.
We have a lot of dressing in the fridge.
Yeah, but people don't know what we have in our fridge. So we're here to discuss this and be specific.
Right,
Specificity is important here. So creamy is my go-to, or Italian. I like both of those myself. Italian's great because you can also put it on your sandwiches. If you want to toast a sandwich, I love sprinkling a little bit of Italian dressing on the sandwich. Num. So I feel that's a pretty good start. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's
so that gets us up to like lunch basically, or like just past lunch.
Lunch and snacks.
So you want to get your camera and we'll take a picture of that?
Yep.
My camera's being used to run the drone. We're live streaming off our drone, which is sitting on a pile of cardboard boxes. We couldn't get our Osmo to live stream from, and so my phone's sitting on the desk picking up the audio. Meanwhile, she's going to use her camera because we don't have a giant whiteboard in the classroom to take a picture of this. We'll wipe it down, start fresh, and we'll work from our just past lunch, from lunch to dinner and dessert kind of thing.
I want some bubble water and some beer that's a little more on the light side. I don't like to drink super heavy beer when I'm out in the backwoods. But I'm gonna go ahead and put beer on the list.
Okay, that's all you.
I know.
Okay, so you're gonna photograph that and then we'll.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. You have your towel?
I did. I tossed it somewhere. Oh, here it is.
Filed it away somewhere good?
Oh, yeah. Fling!
So we also figure for this trip we're gonna bring 12 gallons of filtered water, and then I think we were saying 10 gallons of tap water.
For a trip this long.
Yeah, for a trip this long. So that would allow us the tap water for more like boiling pasta. But when we're going on hikes and whatnot, I'm a water Nancy. I like to have clean, fresh water without the taste of chlorine. So that's what we'd planned to do. We have several of the 7-gallon containers that the nozzle you can be inverted. So when you're traveling, the nozzle doesn't get broken off. But when you get into camp, unthread the lid, take the nozzle out, stick it on the outside of the lid, thread it back on, and then you've got a valve you can turn it on and off. Also, and a few times we've been camping. Which it's too early in the season now, we found spring water, and it's really awesome to fill your cooler with, or not your cooler, but your water containers with that and bring it back home. Oh, yeah.
From a trusted location that you've already tested.
Yeah.
There we go.
Tested by drinking it and not getting sick after 3 days.
All right.
Okay, so we're moving on from we're on to afternoon and dinners, right? Okay, so we've pretty much covered most of lunch, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're just going to do various kinds of sandwiches and hot dogs and whatever.
Okay. So then it's dinner. Okay, so one of my favorites is fajita mix. We live in the town of Windsor. We have more Mexican restaurants than gas stations. So being able to get Mexican food, simple. Although I haven't been since this whole Corona thing, I don't know how available it is, but I'm going to go with a general sense. of what I would do for camping. Right up the street, less than a half mile, is a Mexican taqueria and Mexican market, and in there they sell a fajita mix that's pre-made. The chicken's cut up, it's got bell peppers, onions, and spices already added in there. So you buy it by the pound, you can buy half pound or 10 pounds, whatever you want, and then throw it in a cast iron skillet, stir fry that, and you're good to go. So with that, I would, we've already got shredded cheese on for our omelets.
Mm-hmm.
Some canned beans would be awesome. We've already got jalapenos on the list.
Mm-hmm.
Sour cream, that could be good on the omelet also. So that's kind of like a double bonus. No, I know bonus ain't great, but it works. Tortillas.
Yeah, I like corn tortillas with these.
So like small taco size.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a nice accompaniment. Although
well,
I like
those
bigger flour.
But we got to remember if we're doing the breakfast burritos, will those work for the breakfast burritos also? Or are we getting two different packages?
I would like to get two different ones, but it doesn't matter. I'm flexible.
Would we eat that many tortillas?
I think so. I think.
Okay.
But it doesn't matter. Let's take them off.
We don't have to take them off. So if it were entirely up to me, I would just buy some tortillas and make breakfast burritos and fajitas, but not taco style, burrito style. But of course, this is just a discussion of possibilities and brainstorming. So we'll go with both.
Fajitas. So we need the mix of tortillas. Sour cream. We'll have greens, so if we want that with them, we will.
Oh, cilantro. That's inexpensive.
I like fresh cilantro. Yeah, that really kind of makes it.
And it can be pre-chopped and stuck in a little tiny container to stick in the fridge.
Yeah, and we should get a tub of pico de gallo, because that'll be good not only for
with the
this
omelet
meal,
too.
but with omelets, with chips,
and with the potatoes.
Anything. Yeah.
All right.
We'll get a decent sized tub of that.
That's a pretty hefty meal. I like that.
Okay.
I
could pre-cook some Mexican rice. I do not like to cook rice out in the outdoors. It's really tricky to get the stove to get to just the right heat level and let it simmer long enough and make sure I have a pot with a nice tight lid. So rice to me is challenging in the great outdoors. However, I sometimes will pre-cook something like that. I'll pre-cook a big batch of rice, keep it really plain, let it cool completely, and then fill up a gallon-sized Ziploc bag of the freezer type with a heavier, construction. Fill that up, take that with us, keep that in the cooler, and then I can use it for more than one meal. And that's the one and only way I'll do rice while we're camping.
So pause for a second. If you guys are enjoying what you see, please give us a thumbs up and leave us some sort of comment. Those do help us vastly on growing this channel. The more comments and thumbs up we get on our videos, the higher we come in our search standings. The higher we come on our search standings, the more subscribers we get, and the more subscribers we get, the higher likelihood we are to actually make a little bit of money off of what we do for these videos, because it is very time consuming. Live streaming is not so bad because there's no editing, but the videos we make when we do like a campground, there's a lot of editing, plus there's fuel involved and the cameras that we have to buy. So please, a thumbs up does a lot, and even a short comment of like, hey, that was an awesome video. Doesn't have to be a whole paragraph. Anything helps us tremendously.
Yeah.
So we talked about doing a stew one evening. We have a tripod that supports a Dutch oven and a fancy little handle thingy that we bought like 6 years ago and have yet to use it. So it would be fun to use that. We could do some kind of stew. So we would need vegetables, meat, and some sort of broth. So I'm gonna let you take the lead on that one. Me, I don't like the really gristly, fatty meats.
No, I like my stew to be all gristle. That's
okay.
The best
I'm
stew.
Just clarifying to be very specific.
Yeah.
Okay, and defined.
I think we haven't done a beef stew or any kind of stew from scratch out in the forest. So that'll be a really fun experiment for us. But we also have to keep in mind, if we're looking at a several-day trip like this, there's going to be a tapering amount of energy toward the last few days. So if you're going to plan something ambitious like this, I think that we should do it either Friday or maybe Saturday on the latest, so that we are still fresh and excited about cooking in the outdoors. So maybe we'll just throw it in on the Friday night.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's fine.
So we'll need some good quality beef to cut up into chunks, and we will need broth And we like to have carrots, celery.
Now for specificity again, would you add
Onions.
rice to something like this?
No, not in my opinion.
So
I
what
might
about like
serve
flour or something? Don't you
might-
need something to kind of thicken it up?
Well, I hadn't gotten to that part yet.
Okay,
but
sorry.
yes,
Go ahead.
yes, you do. You need
Yeah.
something to thicken it up. Sometimes, if I'm doing a stew in the kitchen, I will thicken it with. I know this sounds really weird, with a little bit of tapioca, and or occasionally I'll do a flour roux, but I don't like the way it makes the broth look really whitish, creamy. I don't like that look. So another option would be potato starch. I think in this case what I'm going to do is bring the potato flour with us as a thickener. Let's see, potato flour. We do not have to buy this. How can I indicate we don't have to buy this? We have it already. There.
Onions we already have too.
We only have a couple. I'm gonna
Well,
need
we
a
could
few
buy
more.
a whole bag of onions.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So
Good.
yeah, we'll use potato flour for thickener,
Okay.
and
Why potato out of all types? Because there's a lot of types of flour.
well, I just explained that.
I missed that. I'm sorry.
I don't want to use wheat flour because it makes your stew broth look lighter, whiter, more
Okay.
opaque, more like creamy.
Okay.
But I like it when it looks like more like just thickened beef broth, where it looks brown and rich.
Mhm.
And you can kind of see into it a little bit, and that's what potato flour allows you to do. You get a nice silky thickness
Mhm.
without making your broth too
Okay.
opaque or too white.
Valid reasons. I'll take those.
Yeah. Now, it's not something that everybody has on hand, but if you have it, it's a great option. And I happen to have some. So, and we already have potatoes on the list, so we can have our nice chunks of potato in the beef broth. Oh, and I like to have some peas. I always add these at the end of the cooking process, so they're basically like uncooked almost. I add a little bit of frozen peas because I like that bright, fresh green and that little bit of, a little veggie accent added at the end. Pre-cooked rice. I'm going to add pre-cooked rice down here, but that's going to be, potentially used on different meals.
Easy to make a whole bunch.
Yeah, I'll make a large
Speaking of
batch.
making a whole bunch, would it be good to get some biscuits and pre-make some biscuits? Like pre-cook, or is that
yeah, I could pre-bake some biscuits.
to where we just warm them when we're up there?
Yes. All right, we'll put
So would
that
that be
here.
like a several day kind of thing? Because we could also use them for a night if we did pasta.
Yeah, and they're also decent for a snack too. Just cut it in half and put some peanut butter on it and eat it with.
You don't want to add that down here as like a universal make a whole bunch kind of thing?
Yeah, actually, that's a fine idea. Let's do that. So this will be sort of our pre-cooked rice, biscuits. This will be our pre-cook area.
Okay. Biscuits would be good. I like that. Because they work for many things.
Yeah, biscuits with stew, biscuits with whatever. We could make gravy.
So what else is an easy? Like I said, so towards the end of the week when we start getting lazy, you want to put a pasta on here?
The reason this is hard for me is because in the past we've always had a very substandard camping stove, and even boiling water was difficult.
We don't
so
have
every
that
time
issue.
you ask about pasta, my mind goes, no pasta. But in reality,
We
that
have
would be fine.
each burner is 30,000 BTUs. It
You'll
will
be able
boil
to boil
water.
without any problems, so
Yeah.
that's not an issue anymore. So how about we'll throw pasta in here toward the end.
And do you want to do like noodles or something, or do you want to do like a tortellini?
The dried pasta doesn't have to be put in the cooler.
That's a good point. So let's go with that. And then
yeah.
maybe we could get some sauce, because that doesn't have to be kept cold. It just
Yeah.
needs to be kept from breaking.
Yeah, so we'll get some pre-jarred pasta sauce
Now, would we want to bring some Parmesan from the refrigerator?
for sure.
Put
For
some in a
sure.
little plastic container or something?
Yeah, we don't buy fancy Parmesan if we're gonna go camping. We just buy the basic, cheap sprinkled cheese. It's
Made in
kind of
China?
dried up. Yeah, like it's definitely not made in the region of Parma, Italy. That's for sure. And with that, you probably want some garlic bread. Should we buy one of those loaves of garlic bread that's already spread with butter and stuff?
Yeah, we can buy a loaf of garlic bread and figure.
Yeah.
I'll find a way to make it cook.
Okay.
Jess brings up spices. It might not be bad towards the end of the video to go through our spice bag and kind of show what we pack.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we are a big believer in spices and flavors. We try to always have at least the basics with
At least
us.
a whole bunch.
A lot. Yeah, we bring too much, in honesty.
There's no such thing. It's nice having a large truck with lots of power. Bring it all.
Let's do simple burgers. Let's just get some frozen patties and do a very
The
simple...
burgers, because the burgers could also be used as meatballs.
Oh, well, I was saying pre-formed frozen patties that we could just cook. Just throw on the
But if we
grill.
got regular hamburger, we could do both. I'm willing to do the forming, if that's because I know you're not fond of forming hamburgers.
I really don't like touching raw meat,
I don't-
especially in scenarios where I can't as thoroughly wash my hands.
We have means of thoroughly washing your hands. We're bringing 10 gallons of water,
Yeah.
tap water, and we have the water dispenser.
Yeah.
To clarify, the water dispenser, though, our philosophy is somebody else holds the water valve open while somebody else washes their hands.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not the wash hands, hold thing, rinse your hand, switch hands, rinse the other one, because
That's a lot of
while you're
contamination.
touching the valve, you're dripping onto the dispenser itself. So someone will, hey, can you help me wash my hands? I'll soap up, and then someone will hold the valve open, and then that person will rinse off, and that way, if you keep yourself below it, there's not even a splash, and there's no cross contamination. So I am willing to take responsibility for
Mhm.
forming burgers if it means I can use the same meat for meatballs.
Okay. For meatballs for this pasta night?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm taking off burgers.
You can leave
and
burgers.
Bring in ground beef.
Yeah, there you go. Put in the ground beef, and that's more
Well-
specific. And we already have bacon and shredded cheese that could be mixed in with the burgers to make.
To make them fancy.
Yeah,
extra.
similar to the Oh My God burgers at Oliver's.
Mhm.
I mean,
We
they're not
do
the
like-
exact same thing because we're not Oliver's, but they're something.
They're extra. It's
Okay,
good.
so
Okay.
that makes that one simple. Oh, buns.
Smoker.
Oh,
We're gonna smoke those burgers.
Okay.
Right?
it's a good thing we have a big truck. Gonna bring the smoker. All right, so be it.
Let's bring the smoker.
Does that
So
mean we're gonna
that
smoke the
means-
beef a little bit before we even put it in the broth?
Um,
Adds the smoky flavor.
I guess we could do that.
If we're gonna bring in the smoker, we can't just make one meal.
Oh no, I was gonna say this.
Oh,
We
okay.
should pick something for the smoker
Okay, all right.
to be
All
our
right.
fancy meal on Saturday night, like something
Alright.
a little special, maybe some pork tenderloin,
Okay, fine.
or maybe we just TBD, some kind of smoked yumminess, and we'll
So
figure
when we
out.
get to the store, we'd find like a pre-marinated meat that we basically
Mhm.
stick on the smoker and let it sit for like 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
It doesn't weigh all that much. It's kind of bulky, but because we have a 6x10 box trailer and a short bed in our truck, weight isn't the issue. It's the capacity. But if we wrap the thing in like painter's tarp, it won't make the inside of our trailer dirty, and the whole thing maybe weighs 30 pounds. Where
Mhm.
the extra fuel brought for a trip that long is going to weigh far more than the smoker itself. So I'm all for it. I'd love to see at least 3 meals that involve the smoker in one way, shape, or form,
Mhm.
but it is what it is.
Well, we'll smoke this beef,
Okay.
but we can't smoke it till it's cooked.
No,
because-
I get it.
But we'll smoke it at the beginning a little bit, low and slow, infuse it with some flavor, and then I can slice it up and brown it and make
Okay.
it into beef stew.
That's fine.
We will smoke the whole centerpiece of the meal here, whatever that turns out to be. We'll
Mhm.
find something that looks really good at the store, but that's a decent price, and that'll be that.
Okay.
And we'll smoke these burgers, and if you really want to, you could smoke your meatballs, as long as you don't overdo it. Like, we tried smoked meatballs one night,
We
and it was
didn't-
excellent, but
We didn't wrap them after they came out, so the outside got a little firm.
Mhm.
But generally, I found that after the smoker, if you take it out when you're letting the meat rest after removing it, wrap it in foil. Some of the moisture from the inside goes to the outside, and the outside's not quite so firm.
Mhm. Yeah, I
But
think,
learn
smoke-
the hard way. I'm not again, cooking's not my background, so I'm learning trial by fire.
yeah.
Nope, all pun intended.
I thought the smoked meatballs tasted really good. I think we did a great job
So
on
that's 3, and that's fine. That works great.
them. Cook them slightly less.
So we still got one more though.
Meatballs.
And then we still got to figure out some sort of dessert thing that'd be kind of tasty. I'm not sure how we'll work that out because most things are frozen and we only have a cooler. But anyway, distraction. What do we want to make for the last meal?
Well, we haven't really.
The final supper.
The last supper. What are we gonna have with our smoked meat?
Oh, how about some Brussels sprouts or asparagus or what's easy?
Asparagus is nice on the grill.
Okay, well, asparagus.
Yeah.
That's a good start. And then we could.
And then.
What else do we cook with that though?
We can use some of the pre-cooked rice that I can
Ooh,
kind of
yeah.
fry it with some
Ooh,
herbs.
some stir-fried rice.
Yeah, make stir-fried rice to go with it.
I'm all for that.
All right. Make it kind of a peel off. Some herbs and little goodies, diced onion and garlic added to it.
All right, now we're getting somewhere.
Roasted garlic too.
Yeah, put some garlic cloves on there.
Yeah. We'll have some diced up into rice, and we'll have
yeah, we could throw some garlic
roasted.
on the smoker when it's being done, and just let it sit there and cook. That's easy.
Smoke and roast.
It's almost no effort at all. Just about.
We haven't done that.
That's probably the easiest meal right here.
Oh, and we can do artichokes because we can boil water.
Yes.
Okay.
Last supper. It's like this moment of silence where like,
Well, we want to keep it relatively simple.
Yeah, very simple.
How about we just do chili dogs from last night? Chili dogs, cheese, some greens.
Okay.
Yeah? Alright.
So bring extra chili. Isn't chili somewhere on the list already?
No.
Okay.
Not by itself.
Chili dogs then. So we get some cans of chili because those don't have to be refrigerated. Hot dogs, we already have some in the fridge need to be eaten, so that'd be easy. They don't mind a little bit of abuse.
We've already had shredded cheese on our list elsewhere for other things, so that's easy. Onion, yeah. Greens. I think that's it.
Okay, so because dessert is kind of a nice thing, but we are limited on space, do we want to do something like chocolate or something that doesn't s'mores? I mean, I hate to seem like the average person that everybody does s'mores,
we have to do s'mores during one part.
So are we adding those? But then,
yeah.
What else could we do as like a one-time thing? We can't bring ice cream because we can't. Our refrigerator will go freezing, and we could bring ice cream, but that means it would freeze all our food too. So I think the fridge goes down to like 25 degrees, which is pretty cold.
And it kept its temperature when they drove it through Death Valley in the back of a black pickup truck. So
yeah,
we can rely on it. We know that much. That's good.
So s'mores. Maybe we'll go heavy on the chocolate.
Just buy a lot of chocolate for every night.
Well, no, but we're gonna use it for s'mores. But the other nights we don't necessarily feel like making s'mores, and we want something sweet and savory or what have you.
Yeah.
We can do the chocolate.
We can also. I mean, a lot of times we'll just get some cookies, and we'll get like. You know, maybe we'll put peanut butter on the cookies one night while we're sitting around the campfire or something like that.
Okay.
We could also get one container of pudding or something. A Cozy Shack pudding is really good, and that can be nice with just cookies and pudding as an easy, simple. Like you don't even have to put anything together or cook anything or whatever. What do you think of that?
Okay. That's fine. I like all those ideas.
Okay.
And some of it's pre-cooked, so that makes it nice. So that's good. Should I grab our spice bag and see we'll do the what's in your bag?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me grab the bag.
Okay, I'll take a picture of these. So there's our meal plan.
Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Okay, so first in our bag, which actually I found spilled open when I pulled it out today. So So I brought it into the kitchen to go through and see, assess what we have. But in this instance, cinnamon, that's a must for me. I've already covered that in a couple of the meals with the yogurt and banana topping for the waffles, but also for the French toast. Garlic. There we go. Okay, so we're back online. Sorry for that. We touched the connector. We're back online. So thyme was the last one I mentioned. Some basil.
Just ready to go, like you want to make some cinnamon toast or something like that. It's a little messy. I'm gonna clean it up.
Okay. Next I have herbs from Provence. I like these on the potatoes. I think it's really tasty. Savory spice, no salt. I'll let you define that one.
That is a blend of savory spices.
Hold on, come over here and talk.
This is a blend of savory spices that I put together. It's got some herbs, some chili powder, a little bit of ground sesame seed. It's a little bit like a cross between gomasio, which is a Japanese seasoning, and I guess what you'd call like taco seasoning, but homemade, home blended.
This one's like a mixed bag that we found at some store. It's got garlic salt, black pepper, which has been depleted, a bunch of salt, paprika, curry, cayenne, and garlic salt, which I might have already said.
Yeah, so it covers the bases pretty well. If you just want something that's convenient to take with you, these kind of multi-packs are very nice for that.
Okay, so the one that spilled in our bag is the rosemary. You're gonna have to buy a little more because it's empty. There, and I'm not the expert cooker. I just like to be able to have stuff to throw in there.
Okay.
A little shaker of black pepper. Ambit as of right now. So is there anything else you want to add? Or would add? Maybe some sea salt?
No, sea salt is my preferred kind of salt when I'm cooking in the kitchen, but this is certainly good enough for, most purposes. I wouldn't have any complaints about this. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that I would bring. I have a thing for chili powder. I like good chili powders from different places. And, if I had a favorite flavor of the month, I might bring some of that along with me to complement this selection as far as chili powders go, but that's about it.
All right, well, we've covered quite a bit of stuff in the last 49 minutes. We will be doing some more live streams since we finally figured out how to get one of our devices to live stream to YouTube. Makes it a lot easier. So I hope you'll stay tuned. Again, a thumbs up, a subscribe, even a comment, any of the above are tremendously helpful. So at this point I'd say thanks for tuning in, and very shortly we will be adding more videos. So stay tuned.
We appreciate your attention during our learning phase. Thank you.
So at this point